talking about Ryan Clark
Ah,
and that statement that RG3 said. First of all,
mhm.
you and I are probably on Ryan Clark's side.
I got some criticisms for Ryan Clark too. If I had to pick a side, obviously I'm picking Ryan Clark's side on this argument. Yeah.
RG3, just give me your thoughts of him even bringing this up.
Well, I understand why he brought it up. I understand kind of what RG3 is all about. He's all about those clicks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that topic, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, no doubt he's going to bring it up. It's a hot topic. We're talking about it. I mean, I understand what he's doing, but what I don't get, and he can even have his take, which I don't agree with, but everyone has their own opinion. The
Mm-hmm.
problem I have with RG3 are optics mostly. I've had a problem, I'm sure my thoughts on RG3 are somewhat clouded by the fact that he played for my team and,
He
you
messed your
know,
team up. He
he didn't
messed your
mess it
team up.
up. He didn't mess it up. He just didn't take advantage of the opportunity he was given, I don't think, because
True.
they think he got the big hit. But the
Wait, hold up. Let me
it,
ask you a question. A lot of people say he got big head. I always look at RG3 as being a victim of the Adrian Peterson effect. Adrian Peterson tore his knee and was back on the field at a level that he was before he tore his knee. In fact,
right.
he had one of his best seasons after that. And I think a lot of doctors and people kind of assume that Adrian Peterson could do it. Derrick Rose had that situation that happened. And that injury by RG3, I felt that is what brought him down.
Well, yeah. Haloti Nada backed him up. I mean, yeah, that knee injury was a terrible thing.
Yeah.
I'm not faulting him for getting injured or even
Mm-hmm.
that affecting his career.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, I think that he is won the Heisman Trophy, number one pick. I mean, number two pick, supremely uh, uh, talented. Okay, no
Mm-hmm.
doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
However, he had the rookie of the year season he had, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, because along with his talent, Kyle Shanahan had developed an offense that worked for him.
I
And
can agree. Yeah.
all he had to do, and I know, listen to me, I couldn't play quarterback for a down, but it would have helped had he learned how to slide. But I believe that he felt as though he could avoid tackles and not have to work on that skill. And we
Yeah.
see what happened there with that. But
Yeah.
the story goes that after when he was rehabbing on the knee, he and his father had a conversation with Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan about how he wanted to be more of a pocket passer and not run that offense that they had designed for him. And they followed suit because of Dan Snyder. And Dan Snyder was the type of owner that, if he had a new toy, a new player that he wanted to, he would listen to and do and influence the people who he was paying. So anyway, so
Mm-hmm.
that's why I said I think he got the big head. I think that had he maybe been a bit more coachable, that his career wouldn't have gone the way it did. Because I think that again, this is all speculation on my part. I just think that wherever he ended up. Now, at that time, I will be the first to tell you, just like I'll tell you that if you come to the Wizards, your career is going to suck. If you came to the Redskins during that time, your career
Yeah.
was probably not going to be as good as it would have been.
Mm.
We
Mm.
had some of the. I mean, we had Chris Samuels, arguably Hall of Fame left tackle. Could have been,
Right.
I mean, great, but he played for us during that period. So, there are a lot of players that suffered from that. But I just think if he had been more coachable, he could have turned into a better quarterback. So anyway, let me get back to your question about the optics.
Yeah,
This
yeah, I
kind of
want to get
goes.
back to the optics. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Get back to
What,
that.
but you know what? I want you to talk about one thing on the optics that you and I both were just bugging off of. RG3's wife in the background. And just what was she like, drinking coffee or whatever,
He was
got her legs
look,
propped up, and she's
look.
like, Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
Look,
Yo,
if I were writing a skit
right.
for like In Living Color, and I had an athlete, and I wanted to have him with his snow bunny white wife behind him, looking like exactly like the type of woman that sisters would just blow up about.
Right.
That's
Right.
exactly what she looked like. She had her
Yeah.
legs up with her little mug of cocoa or whatever it was, and she was
Mm,
nodding her head. And I was just
hmm
like, no, no, Robert, no, no.
Yeah. And what's bad about it, he's talking about a black woman.
Right,
And that also adds to the bad optics.
right.
But with Ryan Clark, you said you kind of had an issue with what Ryan Clark was saying. Overall, you probably agree with most of it, but
Yeah.
what's something with it that just kind of threw you off?
Well, the first thing is, while I do believe that RG3 is way too focused for whatever reason. I don't want to psychoanalyze him, but for some reason, he
Mm,
seems to feel the need to like let everyone know about his interracial wife and his relationship. And, I have seen some of his posts on Instagram and they're all like themed with this black white woman type thing. I don't understand what he's up to.
mm,
So I
right,
understand that yes, it seems as though he does not have, and the optics we talked about, it seems as though he does not have a relationship or an understanding of black women
right,
and
right. Yeah,
relationship within our community on how we relate to each other. That's all.
yeah,
He
yeah.
seems to that. Now I agree with that, but if I didn't know Ryan Clark and I didn't know anything about him, I would think that Ryan Clark was one of these brothers that just was like, I just keep it black, baby. I love black women and all that. And it wasn't like that, Ryan. It's just
No.
not. I mean,
Okay.
and I'm not saying it should be like that. He was on the same team as RG3. These
Yeah,
brothers know each other.
yeah,
When he was in Washington, so was
yeah. You're right.
RG3.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That makes it even deeper. Nobody's really mentioned that yet. Yeah, that's
I'm sure
yeah,
that they have some personal, he personally probably
yeah.
dislikes his brother. I get that. But it seemed as though his criticism of him was coming from a place of, I just don't like this brother. I just don't like this brother because of the way he carries himself.
Hmm.
I don't like him. And that's fine. But
Right.
it just didn't seem like, while you're talking about the in my opinion, when you're
Hmm.
talking about, if you want to talk, put it on race, and as a black person, you want to talk about the black experience and black thing, then help this brother out, man. Give him some advice.
Well,
Don't sit. Go ahead.
it's hard to give him some advice because you mentioned all the things that he does on his site. He's not trying to listen to Ryan
Yeah.
Clark. And the way
Yeah.
I took Ryan Clark when he was really talking about RG3 not having conversations with black women, that's not happening in his house. I took it as him defending Angel Reese
Right.
because this whole thing that they do with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, making her the villain, and RG3 talked about that as well. Later on during the day, he talked about Angel Reese says she was the villain, but he's taking it out of context. She's sitting there at a press conference, and you have all these things being said about her in a negative light, but all these great things with Caitlyn, and they're doing the same thing. They're both being competitive. So she's sitting there. She tells a reporter, well, I'm the villain. That's out of frustration. That's a competitive edge because people keep pushing that narrative. The way I looked at it is that, dude, you won't listen in private. So I got to put this out in public. And I don't think those two were guys that were hanging out. You know what I mean? So it could be something that
Oh
went
yeah.
back, ages. And then not Ryan, but RG3 wants to say something about Ryan Clark
No.
having a white girlfriend. But Ryan Clark's been married to a black woman since 2004. See what RG3 is doing, once again, that clickbait you talk about, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. And but they're both tripping off of what we saw.
Mm-hmm.
That foul
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin Clark did on Angel Reese.
Yeah.
When people said if it
Yeah.
was reversed, everybody be up in arms. I thought it was a good play, but there's a lot of reality to that.
Yeah, well, it probably would have been, there's a lot of reality to it. However, if they show the whole play, see, I give Caitlin a little dap on this one, to tell you the truth, because Angel pushed her teammate. If I'm on
Yep.
the Fever,
Yeah.
I'm happy Caitlin did that. But
Mm-hmm.
I did find it kind of interesting that weren't a whole lot of Fever players coming over there. Now, granted, Caitlin walked away, but there weren't a whole
Uh-huh.
lot of Fever players clearing the bench
Oh yeah.
necessarily,
Yeah.
to come
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was kind of interesting. But from a teammate perspective, first thing I thought was just a regular old basketball play, hard foul.
Me
Okay,
too. Yeah.
and
Me too.
given and I'm not surprised that they don't talk about what happened before the play, because that makes this thing a little less of an issue, of a situation.
Right.
If so
But that doesn't
um,
sell. That
yeah,
doesn't
it doesn't
sell.
sell. It doesn't
Yeah.
sell. It
Yeah.
looks much better. It's a much better story if it's like Caitlin Clark just out of the blue comes
Yeah.
out and
Yeah.
hard with this hard foul. And I understand why anybody would jump up and come after whoever it was.
That's being competitive. That's being competitive. And that's what people are getting upset with Angel Reese getting up, like that. I'm like, look, some people I just wish would just shut up because
Right.
they just
Right.
haven't played the sport, or they may have never played any sport. You can talk after the game
Right.
and still be friends.
Right.
Before the Dream Team 92, Magic Johnson knocked the hell out of Isaiah going to the hole,
Right.
and they were the best of friends. I think a lot of people don't understand the complete culture of the WNBA
Yeah. Well,
and basketball period. And
yeah.
that is why I just hate some of the things that they talk about.
Yeah.
And I got a big one about Caitlin Clark. I love watching her play.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching her play before everybody else knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
Her, Paige Beckers, they were coming out. Gino thought Paige was better. I do too. I still think that. But what has happened with Caitlin Clark, even though there's a racial aspect to it with her and Angel Reese, it has brought attention to the league. And
Yes.
and what I think they should do, you said it, I don't agree, but other people say it, saying that Caitlin is the face of the league. No, you didn't say that. A friend of mine said that. And I repeated
Yeah.
what you said. No, she's probably right now the most important person in the league. But I think off of that, they need to actually talk about Asia more, talk about Breonna Stewart more. I think they need to focus on that. And also in the future, do not schedule a primetime WNBA game when
Yeah.
an NBA playoff game is coming on. That had to be the
I
most insane thing ever.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how much control they have over that, but it was not a good thing to do. No, it was
No,
a smart
it
program.
takes away from the women. Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's the thing that
yeah.
I have an
I
issue with.
Yeah, I
Go
agree
ahead.
with you. I mean, my player. I mean, if I'm a fan of it, I'm a fan of the league, as I've said before. I mean,
Mhm.
I meant to send you this clip of Cynthia Cooper on this podcast.
Woo!
She's funny, man. I love Cynthia Cooper.
Yeah,
As a
yeah.
as a player. But Stewie is my player. Stewie is like all like I as far as her resume,
Her resume is the best. I,
right, is the
yeah,
best.
yeah,
Is the
yeah,
best. So, she should be a household name. She
yeah.
should.
She should be. Yeah.
And she's not. Because that's, and the sport is falling down, not using her more because of her resume. I can't think of, I'm sure there are, but other than someone who played back on those wooden teams for UCLA, I don't know of
Hmm.
any college player, man or woman, who's had the type of career she had coming out of college.
Man,
You know,
4 national championships,
right.
4 most outstanding players of the tournament, 4 national players of the year.
Yeah, I mean
I mean,
that's Kareem, Bill Walton stuff.